Hello, everybody. How are we? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. Let's see who's in the room. We've got 20 people here tonight. Happy Monday. Starting the week off right. Awesome. All right. Well, usually I spend the first 5 minutes of my workshops getting to know you guys and having you guys get to know me while we wait for more people to join. So just some housekeeping things for the format of this Zoom call tonight. There is a Q&A box, not to be confused with the chat. The Q&A box is where we will communicate. Your cameras are off. Lucky you. So you guys can do whatever you please. And I'm in the hot seat, but I do wish I could see your face. But you are off the hook. So that Q&A box, I want you guys to find it and go for it. Go introduce yourself. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let's see. Since tonight's workshop is about being on set, let me know if you've ever been on a professional set before. And that way I can kind of get to know you guys. Are you interested in acting? Are you interested in modeling? How many years have you been at this? And then there is another button here, the raise hand feature. So out of all 21 of you, I know there's some of you that I'm meeting for the first time. If that's you, go ahead and raise your hand and give me a little wave so I can say hello to you guys. Hello, hello. Amazing. Be sure to introduce yourself in the Q&A. And I'm going to get into it and introduce myself to you guys. My name's Alecia. I've been teaching these workshops since 2020 with 9-9. And a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know, I do see some familiar names in the room tonight. Welcome back. I've been modeling since 2016. So I've got 10 years in the game. It's really exciting. And when I got this opportunity to teach these workshops, it was kind of a big deal for me because there is a lot in this industry that nobody is going to teach you. It's almost like I heard this analogy recently, but it's almost like we're going fishing, right? And we're hoping for the best, and nobody's going to hand us a fish. We really have to stay dedicated. Our skill has to be on point. And so it's really been my greatest honor to give back everything that I've learned along the way. And of course, I'm still in it. I'm still here for the long haul. And there's things that I learn along the way as well that I'm always putting back into these workshops. So for those of you who tuned in, I've been here. Let's see, I did a workshop Thursday night, Saturday morning, and I was out of town for a big commercial job that I just booked. And I have updated this workshop to include some images from the behind the scenes so I can share with you guys. But this workshop is really like a preparation workshop for you guys. And I really hope that you will remember this information that I've given you because it's just going to help you how to prepare, how to walk, talk, and act like a professional. Even though we might be a beginner, maybe it's our first time on set. We've all got to cross that milestone at some point. And we go over some ways to tackle nerves too. Even the best models and actors in this industry still get a little bit of stage fright. And this is an industry where you're constantly putting yourself in new environments with new people. And that is one of the things that I really love about this industry too, is that the opportunities to network are definitely there. And so that being said, it's really important that we take these opportunities when we're on set to build our relationship. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get into it tonight. We will be together till the top of the hour. And then I'll share with you guys where you can find me next, because I'm here on these workshops probably about 4 times a month. Hello, Deidre and Liz. Victor just had my first booking Saturday as the 8th as a background. Awesome. How did it go? I did some work this past, was I shooting Sunday? Yeah, I was shooting Sunday in Austin, Texas, and I had to work with a lot of background actors. setting the scene. You guys are super important. And so I want this to be known that all of the stuff that I'm about to share with you guys is for background work. Uh, there's no job too big or too small to come prepared. So this is across the map, a preparation workshop for any role, acting, modeling. I was on set once back in college. First time here, Arizona. Hello, Kai. Rob the Power. I love that. I'd love to know what that means to you from Miami. Amazing. Sakenya. I'm tuning in from South Florida. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale, so we're basically neighbors. Greetings again, Bob. Welcome back. Got Yolanda. This is my first time interested in modeling, acting, commercial, and voiceover. Yes. Quadruple threat. Do it all. Never box yourself into one little avenue for sure. I don't have any experience, but I'm willing to learn new skills. And that's honestly the best place to be when you're a beginner. Look forward to learning how. Amazing. We are great. Learned a lot and made connections. And that's really at the end of the day what it's about. We want to make sure we are networking. So I won't leave anything out. I think we should get started. We have 26 people here. So if you haven't already, go ahead and introduce yourself. And that Q&A box is going to be for you if you want to give feedback at any point in time. If you want to ask questions, I get alerted every time that chat box goes up by one message so I can respond to you there. So today's workshop was booked and ready, your first day on set. So I want you guys to understand all the different types of set that you can have. And production, let's give a big round of applause for production because they're the ones making sure the lights are set, the studio is booked. I did a job in New York once and they had like the place to meet was a little trailer on the side of the road where you would go in and get your makeup and hair done. They had catering that would set up lunch. But I've also done small, lower budget, local companies that just have like a studio like this on the left. And then I've shot at hotels, I've shot at old theaters. So this industry can take you some really cool places. Essentially, you want to kind of be comfortable on set no matter where you are, kind of understand the lighting situation. And there's going to be a lot of technology, a lot of cameras. But essentially, you're going to have a mark. Whenever you get to a set, they're going to mark it, especially if you're taking photos with a white backdrop. That's what we call e-com. So if you are interested in modeling, this is one of the most consistent jobs that you could possibly get. Think about working for a brand like J.C. Penney, who has tons of stuff coming out, merchandise, products, and they need models. And the consumer wants to shop online these days. So that's the model wearing the outfit, and you can add to cart and see it on them. So a day like that looks like you show up, you get in a robe, they do your hair and makeup, you're on set, you go to your mark, and you're in and out of probably 30 to 40 outfits all day. Or you can do more fun stuff, like this was just me, the center. You can see there's a lot of people working behind the scenes. So it's really cool once the flow of everything gets going. I got to work with some new technology this time. And one thing that I want to know is that mainly on all sets, there's going to be a monitor where you can see the images as they come in. This is a really good learning opportunity for you guys to see how your look is translating, how you look on camera. Now, the first thing they're going to do, especially if you are on a studio set, is they're going to do a lighting test. And they're going to get you there and they're going to take pictures. They're going to have a little thing for you to hold that balances out the colors. That you don't have to worry about. That's for makeup and hair to make sure everything's looking good. And that's for the lighting tech. So sometimes there's a little bit of adjustments to start the day. But man, oh man, are these people talented. They build sets, they move heavy equipment, they pack it all up, break it all down. And I just love working on set. It's fast-paced, really creative environment to be on. Here are some examples of some studio work that I've done. So sometimes it doesn't have to be just a white backdrop. Sometimes they can build a whole set behind you like they did for this bridal job. But in New York, there's a lot of studios. So I worked for Target and I worked for a brand called Living Proof. And that's always really cool. That's for like storefront stuff. And that's been really cool milestones in my career. And it's just so surreal when you see yourself online, but especially when you see yourself in a store. Now, you can also book jobs on location too. And this one we shot at the beach for JCPenney. This one in the Purple Swim we shot at a spa. This one was at a hotel, and this one was on the streets by Vizcaya. So my Miami people in here, you will know what Vizcaya Museum and Gardens are. And so there's all types of stuff for on location permitting and stuff. So again, that's in the hands of production. You just have to show up and you have to be prepared, and I'm going to show you how to do it. This recent one over here on the right, I just added in because that was a first for me. Having a location job where we are reenacting some girls fishing was really cool to be out in Everglades City. So imagine this. This is kind of where my whole career kicked off. I had been going to castings for a while back in 2016. I feel like you guys are spoiled these days because, or I am too, collectively, because since 2020, everything kind of went digital. Back in the day, we had to show up on set and we had to look them in the eye, try on the clothes, and we could see whether it was a yes or a no, or sometimes we had no idea, but sometimes you wait in a line and you're sizing up your competition while you're there. So I remember I had been on like a handful of castings and I would make the trip from Connecticut to New York City because that's where I grew up before I moved down here to Florida. And I had no idea when I was going to book my first job. I was essentially just winging it. No formal training, just showing up, which, as you guys know, if you've been to my workshops, showing up is always half the battle. It's like 50% of the work. So one day, a couple days after a casting, I got a job. Yeah, she called me, my agent, and New York agents are notorious for not having a ton of time to spend with you, to hold your hand, to develop you in any way. But she was like, probably 30 seconds. Hey, congratulations, you booked that job. Keep an eye out for your email. I'm going to send you a call sheet and don't forget to bring a book. Click. I was like, okay. And that's when I started to like really get nervous because I knew that I wanted this. I knew that I was showing up, I was putting in the work, but I had no idea what a call sheet was. I was very confused as to why I should bring a book. And so my thoughts started spiraling. And that very first job was actually not good. Not good. Didn't know what I was doing. And so essentially, I don't want that for any of you, which is why I teach camera presence, energy that you bring into the room with you, and how to get the hang of it, right? I had never actually seen modeling done in real time before. So a lot of my perspective or understanding without any training was that you would stand there and people would put you in the positions and you would just smile. But there's a whole lot more that goes into it from the second you walk in to the second you end the day. And even when you're off camera, you're still auditioning. So I want to ask you guys to get a little bit vulnerable here. And even if you don't share, just kind of check in with yourself that if you were to get a call tomorrow that said, hey, you booked a job that you submitted for, you're on set, you're confirmed for next Wednesday. Keep an eye out for your email. Don't forget to bring a book. What kind of worries, what kind of fears are creeping in when you start to see yourself in that type of situation? And this is a lot of the work that I do because it's made such a tremendous difference in how I carry myself as a professional and how I have a healthy relationship with this industry is a lot of mindset work, bringing a lot of awareness into what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, so that I can combat it and show up more grounded and more aware. Because I will tell you, It's so very common to have fears and doubts, especially in this industry. It takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of bravery, and I feel like that comes first before the skill. So I'm interested to hear what is it that you guys are worried about so that we can tackle it together. Randy said, not getting past the deer in the headlights look on my face. Absolutely. I struggled with that for a while too. Um, that really, just a word on that, is learning how to connect to the camera. So you should keep a lookout for my portfolio building workshop where we go over camera presence, how to dress. Victor, I'm going to address your concerns as soon as we get into the thick of this workshop. Being overshadowed by more confident, self-assured people, I 100% have been there. And one thing that I could say that worked for me is letting that be okay. Because for me, to know yourself is to love yourself. And if I'm not, I don't want to say boisterous, but that's the word that's coming to my mind, but I don't mean it in a negative way. If I'm not an automatic storyteller, charismatic person, then it's not a bad thing. I think that for me, I'm a little bit more slow to warm up. So it takes me a little bit to get comfortable, and I've accepted that about myself. So I've been on sets where I'm overshadowed and I've let it completely kill my vibe, and I've assigned a meaning to that. Like, oh, that must mean that I'm not fit to be on this set, or maybe they're not going to like me. You bring your own unique gifts and you're there for a reason. So that is something that I can 100% relate to. The casting directors being snobs, having to walk on eggshells. I guess you just hope for the best for that one. But I will say that there's been very little times that I've been truly uncomfortable on set. But that's what we have our agencies for, so we could at least let them know. I would feel nervous, happy, butterflies, excited, not knowing what to expect, being overwhelmed by the set and everything surrounding me for the first time. Yeah, and I'm gonna take you on to set and what to expect. Because there is a lot of moving parts. And if you allow yourself to be in that energy of overwhelmed, it's going to read all over your face and all over your energy. So I'm going to give you tips and tricks how to get out of that because it's very natural. So instead of focusing on future things that could possibly go wrong, I consider it like the death trap of like the what if. So what if the casting directors are snobs? What if I don't wear the right thing? What if I don't say the right thing? What if I'm too nervous? So whenever you catch yourself saying the what if, I want you to bring it back to the present moment because you're psyching yourself out and there's no way to know. So, what if is the death trap? So, we're going to go back to the things that we have control over. Shifting your mindset. You're human. The nerves are a natural part of the process. Think about even the most A-list celebrities who have starred in movies and made millions. They're still going to get nervous when they're working on a new project. They're still going to get nervous when they step out on a red carpet and do an appearance. It's almost like part of your initiation that it shouldn't hold you back. You get so good at working through them that it's just part of the process. One thing you can also do is research the brand and the product, the clothing line, the director, the location. If they send you a little deck of your character, research that. Know it. That is building trust, and that gives you some clear understanding. And clarity is everything when you're moving through the nerves. Prioritizing a good night's sleep is super important. You want to be rested. I think I slept like 13 hours in LA. Saturday night, I went to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Now, I know life gets in the way and we have things, but always make the attempt to prioritize being rested. It's going to really take you far because it is tiring, especially when you're going through all of the nerves. It can literally zap the energy out of you. Hydrating. I just posted a funny reel on my Instagram about what I do when I'm traveling for work as a model is I I bring gallons of water into the hotel room and I work on hydrating myself because it definitely brings out your natural radiance. Everything looks better when you're super hydrated. Self-care. In that, while I was drinking my gallon, I had a sheet mask on. So, moisturizing, shaving, exfoliating, anything you can do to pamper yourself and make yourself feel good. Okay. Getting a manicure, deep conditioning your hair, all of that. Getting some sun, going for a walk, cooking a healthy meal, all of that falls under self-care. Leaning on your support system for feel-good vibes. This is my secret weapon, one of them, because there's been lots of times in this industry where I felt like I wanted to give up, like I didn't fit in, like I didn't belong. And I always resorted back to my cheer squad is what I like to call them. My genuine people in my life who pray for me, call me, lift me up. I had 2 text messages from my best girlfriends on Sunday morning. Good luck. You got this. And it really helps you get through. And then this one was a shift for me too. And this came from my friend's perspective many years ago. I was at work, I was waitressing, and I told him, I said, I have a job on Friday, I won't be here. And I'm just like so nervous, I can't sleep. And he said, if I was a model, I really don't understand. Like, if I was you, I don't understand why you're so nervous because they picked you. You already got the job. They picked you out of all the other people. They're excited to see you. They want to work with you. So, like, why are you so nervous if you were already picked? Like, the hardest part is already done. And I said, okay, I guess you have a point. Like, yeah. So now instead of being nervous, I'm going to bring my best self to set. Another thing you can do is pack your set bag, which we're going to talk about, and confirming you received the call sheet. So, are we good on that? Things you have control over are the way to go. That's where you want your focus to go. So, anytime it starts getting away from that, go back to something you can control. We also have to do the mental preparation too, which is like model mindset 101. It all depends on how you're talking to yourself, what you're telling yourself. So I love a good affirmation just to have in the back of your mind. If you need to write it down, put it on your phone, set an alarm with the affirmation on there, or just literally train your mind to talk to yourself like this. So instead of saying, oh, I'm inexperienced and I'm nervous, say, I'm confident, I'm professional, and I'm unforgettable. I belong on this set. I am here because my talent is needed and it's valued. I bring something unique that no one else can bring. The nerves that I'm feeling mean that I care. Okay, so it could be worse. You could be a model who doesn't care, who doesn't give a crap. And then you channel them into presence, right? I can handle whatever today brings with grace. So that was me on set for a new client. In fact, there was a lot of downtime on this set today or that day, and this is why a book comes in handy. Just want you guys to understand that sometimes there is a lot of downtime, and I'll explain why. So sometimes you just get paid to chill, and it's great. VIP call sheet. Has anybody heard of the term call sheet? Now, these are some examples of a call sheet. They can be super detailed, but essentially it's going to give you the whole breakdown. And these many times arrive the day before. It's like the last bit that production has to do. Think about production booking all of the freelancers. So they need to get the models, they need to get the makeup artists, the lighting techs, the digital techs, the art directors, depending on the project. So this is kind of like the final roll call. And the most important part is your call time, which is what time they expect you to show up and show your beautiful face and be ready. So when I receive a call time, the first thing I do is look up the location and I try to map my route. So I figure out what time I need to get up and leave my house to give myself time. Note what time I need to be there and anything that I need to bring. So this one on the right, please ask model to bring. So they had a lot of guidelines for me. and they had a rough estimate of the schedule, but most of the time it's going to be for like a 10-hour day unless you're booked for a half day. And a cheat code here is to start memorizing names because you're going to be working with a lot of people. I showed you that picture of how many people are on there. And I remember I heard it from the makeup artist perspective one time because my ears are always open on set, even though people might not be addressing me, they talk. And so I heard this makeup artist kind of ranking on this model that they had worked all day together, had lunch together, laughed. And then at the end of the day, the model chose to say, "Oh, what was your name again?" And it kind of made the makeup artist feel like a little insignificant. And it's sort of like a sign of respect when you can address people by name and remember their names. I think that sometimes talent, when we come in, we're at a disadvantage because maybe these people have worked together for years. So they all know each other's names, they have established relationships. So that is one thing I can tell you. Start memorizing the names, okay? So I have a question for you guys, and I'm going to get to know your style of punctuality. If you got your call time and they say 8:30, what time are you guys going to be there? All right, we've got 7:30, we've got 8:15 the latest, 7:45, 8:15, 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. All right, here's the thing. You don't actually have to walk into the room until 8:30, but I would suggest being in the area. For me, I'd probably want to get there to the area around 7:45, 8 o'clock, because I'm already going to look it up on the map the night before. Sometimes if you're in a big city, you've got to go through some hoops. If the studio is on the 14th floor and there's security at the bottom, sometimes you have to wait in a line to check in. So know where you're going. I've also had call sheets where the call time is 8:30 for everybody. Um, and so that means if you show up at 8:15, no one else is going to be there. But my rule of thumb is to show yourself approximately 10 to 15 minutes before your call time. And I think that this is the best way to be professional. So if you were to show yourself at 7:45, you may be imposing on them. Maybe the breakfast isn't ready. Maybe they're still setting up the lights. So they don't actually need you there till 8:30. The 10 to 15 minutes early is for you, so you can get settled, so you can use the bathroom so that by the time 8:30 comes around, you're ready to rock. You don't want to show up at 8:30 and then go off and use the bathroom, and you certainly don't want to show up late. So I would say aim to be in the area so that you know you've made it. If you have a parking garage, you need to sit there for a little bit, that's fine. But I would walk in probably 8:15 to 8:20. And think about if you were in the reverse role of the art director or the producer, it kind of eases their mind a little bit that the model's there. You don't want it to be like 8:28, 8:29, and they're looking around and saying, our talent still isn't here. It's not a good way to start the day. So I always like to show myself about 10 to 15 minutes early. I would never walk in before that. Okay. So we need to pack a bag. Not a camping bag, not a duffel bag, and in fact, some things you could probably leave in your car. They're just kind of like a just in case. But we are going to bring that book. And I'm going to explain to you guys why, but essentially you want to have a phone charger. I love, think about you're being a 10-hour day. I love a portable phone charger so I can charge it right then and there. Think about if you're calling an Uber, you want to make sure your phone is got some juice at the end of the day, and you want to be able to take some behind the scenes footage, and I will explain that to you as well. Snacks, water, energy drinks, whatever you need to keep yourself going. A big one for me is eye drops. I usually start the day with eye drops or put the eye drops in right before I go in because if you're sleepy, sometimes your eyes look a little glossy. So you want to do the eye drops. A lot of models bring their toothbrush to set. So think about it. Like I got to set on Sunday, they had breakfast. I had breakfast tacos, and it's my responsibility, nobody else's, to make sure I'm camera ready because I'm the only one being on camera. So I went to the bathroom, I picked out my floss and made sure I was ready to go. So whatever you need. And then of course, you are working in close proximity with your makeup artist. So you don't want to offend them in any way. I always pack mints. Nude, neutral undergarments, bringing a strapless bra is really great. So just having a little tiny tote bag with these things in them. Deodorant and hygiene wipes. I wish I had baby wipes because I was sweating out in Texas. But it ended up being just fine. I would never bring headphones or I would just put them away if I was on some sort of bus or Uber to get there. I'm never going to put headphones in during my downtime because I want to be alert. So, any items too requested on the call sheet, that other one said Dermablend for your tattoos. So, the client tries to make it as easy for you so that you don't have to guess, okay? So, I remember I was shooting in Connecticut in November on the beach. And the client specifically said, please bring a jacket. They might ask you to bring hair extensions. They might ask you to bring shoes, jewelry, basics, depending on what their budget is. If they have a full-on stylist or if you're working background work, sometimes they want you to bring a few outfits that they can choose from. So you just need a little tote bag to have that all in there and have all of your things ready so that you feel good. Above all, never forget to bring a good attitude. That's the best thing I could tell you to bring is a good attitude. No matter what's happening in your personal life, we put it away because this ties into your presence. And that is why people want you on set sometimes for your presence, your professionalism. And this is how we start to build a good reputation. Now, the industry is much smaller than you think. So sometimes, let's say you're working with a director and you guys work together well, he might suggest you for another project, or he might be in charge of casting the next big project in your area. So, really, it's all about building a reputation. That's why I said in the beginning, you're still auditioning even though you're off camera. So, the whole day is essentially you're being observed. So this was me at that job. I had to model some shapewear, which is really cool because anytime you have to model swimwear or anything like underwear wise, you get paid a little bit more, which is great. But think about being prepared for that situation. So we need to have shaved legs. We need to not bring a bunch of jewelry to set. In fact, leave it at home. Your wedding ring, all of it, leave it at home. Earrings, take them out. Watch, take it off. Because they're going to style you on set. So the best thing you can do is think of yourself as a blank canvas. You want to have clean hair. You don't want to hit the beach the day before. Like a lot of people, I had a couple down days in Texas and they're saying, oh, you should go check out the springs. And I said, I would never put myself in a position to burn or have harsh tan lines the day before or the week of the day that I have to be on set. So just little things you have to keep in mind. Moisturized, clean hair, which means no product, essentially, naturally dried or however they want you to wear it is how you're going to wear it. If they want a 5 o'clock shadow, if they don't, it depends on the role, and you should have all that information ahead of time. So that's all the physical stuff. And then there's the professional attitude here, which I think encompasses this whole list here, which is being dependable, optimistic, personable, easy to work with, present, and has good communication. So these are like the 6 pillars of how people can tell whether or not they think that you're professional or not. So if you keep disappearing and taking phone calls or, going on little vape breaks, you are not present and you're not being considerate. If you have a question and you generally don't understand the direction and you don't speak up to ask, you don't have good communication. If you're just there as a body, okay, great. So modeling, acting, they need a body, but there's no one home and you're not engaging with people and you're not putting good energy out. You're not personable. If you don't crack a smile, little things like that. If you don't know your line, you're not dependable. They can't trust you. Now, there's ways to work through that, and obviously, they're going to take a ton of takes if you're filming, so there's always room to learn that on set. I don't know much about lines, but I would assume that you would need to know them ahead of time or have a really good understanding of them. And then optimistic, this is good for me for models because sometimes you have to shoot in unfavorable conditions. This last shoot that I just did on Sunday, they put a big helmet on my head that had a point of view camera and it weighed about 50 pounds and it was strapped in by the chin and it was very heavy. And I pushed through. They didn't keep me in it for hours. But if I had been complaining, like, oh, it's really heavy, I can't do it, I hate it, then you're not professional. You have to push through. Okay. Now, that being said, if you're ever uncomfortable or no one's providing you with adequate, you know, changing rooms or whatever, you can absolutely speak up if you need to use the restroom. But I always try to do that before I get onto set. So, what I've learned too about the most successful models, this is where the energetics comes into play that I'm very passionate about because you could have all of that down. You could be dependable, you could be engaging, you know your line, you know your product, but if you don't have the right energy, meaning you're stuck in your nerves or you're stuck in what's happening at home, people aren't going to want to work with you essentially. So they're really looking for that captivating, magnetic model energy. And again, it's kind of like the fear of being overshadowed, right? Where you think someone's going to be more personable than me and someone's going to be more charismatic than me. That's okay. Take notes from them because obviously they've been doing this for a really long time. Again, these are like social situations. So for me, I struggle a little bit, but I've been warming up and getting a lot better. So when I've seen these models walk in, where literally everybody wants to talk to them, they're making people laugh, they're radiating this energy of happiness. And I cracked the code on that. So for me to radiate happiness, even if it's early, the call time's like 6 a.m. and I'm tired. I've gone to set before where my dog had a medical emergency and I had to literally be in the moment and stop the worrying. Find something to be truly grateful for. All of these opportunities that you get can lead to more. So be grateful. Be grateful that you made it to work today. Be grateful that your kids gave you a big kiss and said, "Good luck, mommy. Good luck, daddy. You got this." Radiating authenticity. It's just oozing off of them. Be yourself. Authenticity is the most powerful energy you can keep because you're not pretending to be anybody else. You're showing up as yourself. So whether or not you're a little nerdy, you're a little quirky, you're a little shy, you're going to be yourself and you're not going to try to change. You're just going to absorb the energy of the room and do your best to open up in your own time. How to do a good job, not be so hard on yourself. Because I've been modeling for 10 years and I'm still learning new things. This whole experience in Austin was brand new for me. I worked with a lot of new people. So, relaxing is definitely going to get you to do a good job. If you're stiff in any way or holding tension, it's not going to translate good on screen. So, just relax. Take a few deep breaths, shake out your hands, roll your shoulders. You got this, right? They're going to give you tons of takes anyway. So there's no expectation of you being perfect. If they wanted perfect and easy without having to put any time or direction into it, they could just hire an AI image. But they want to work with real people. So real people have their quirks. Arriving on set is probably the most meaningful thing because you make your first impressions within the first minute of meeting people. So move with purpose, poise, and ease, and remember that affirmation. I belong in this room. I belong in this room. Dressing like yourself. Somebody had a question about dressing like yourself. Victor, did I remember your name? I always used to kind of fret over, okay, what am I going to wear? I have to dress the part of a model. I have to dress the part of an actress. I want to be trendy and I want to look like I have a clue about fashion. And sometimes I would even go shopping for new outfits to wear to set only to show up to see other models in sweatpants. So this is where that authenticity comes in. You want to be comfortable. You want to dress like you. You don't need a fresh pair of white sneakers. You can wear your lived-in New Balances. You could wear your jeans that are 10 years old. However, you are comfortable, that is best. I would steer away from wearing anything that's too tight because you want to be comfortable and you don't want to leave any lines on your body. Let's say if you're having to model swimwear or something. Acknowledging who is in the room. When you walk in, there's tons of people, and I feel like throughout the day you'll have time to meet them all. So if anybody you lock eyes, it's a brief head nod, but I will say the first person you lock eyes with when you enter a set, that is your time to confidently introduce yourself, reach out your hand, give them a handshake, and say, "Hi, I'm Alecia D. I'm here for the glance job," right? Nice to meet you. And then they'll kind of direct you where to go. But most of the time, I try to go over where the makeup and hair are set up. They usually have a place for you to put your stuff down, tables, couches. So anybody who's passing by you, there's a lot of moving parts. I always try to greet them with a warm and friendly smile. And this is when I pull out a book. And of course, you want to have that thrilled to be there attitude, ready to have fun, ready for anything, and keeping your eyes and ears open so that you can hear any cues going on behind you. So, the extras for sure, there's a lot of downtime, but even as the main talent, there is a lot of downtime. So, I always recommend bringing a book. It was weird advice when I got it for the first time because I said, what do modeling and reading a book have anything to do with each other? But you think about all the people who sometimes scroll on their phone all day. It can really kill your vibe. So I like to bring a book. It's a great conversation starter. It shows that, you're good, you're not impatient, you've brought something to entertain yourself. So I suggest always bringing a book. And that was advice from a model agent in New York. So she knows what she's talking about. So yeah, read the room when you show up. There's a lot of stuff getting set up. The catering could still be getting set up. The makeup artist could still be getting set up. So make sure that you're settled in. That is a sign of etiquette. Just, using the bathroom, hanging your jacket, whipping out your book, having your bag nearby, and being ready. Eyes and ears open. Now, one thing I've made the mistake of is when people are trying to get set up, I've gone around the room and took the initiative to introduce myself. You'll have time throughout the entire day to meet everybody. So, up until then, the best thing you can do is find your space and be ready when they're ready. And then throughout the day, you'll have time to introduce yourself. When you're making those introductions, I always like to get warmed up in the makeup chair because you're going to be spending a good portion of time there. So that's when I tried to ask questions. Hey, where are you from? How long you been doing this? What are your other clients? And telling a little bit about yourself as well. And speaking up too if you need anything at all. Let's say for me, this one, I have a small little tattoo on my neck here. As soon as I got to the first scene, I said, do I need makeup to cover this? Because sometimes those small details are overlooked. So that would be your responsibility to make sure that you're helping them, right? So if you know you have a tattoo and you don't speak up, it might create more work in post. So make sure that you advocate for yourself and for the respect of the team as well. Your typical full day on set is 8 to 10 hours, but you do get breaks. And technically, they have to give you a break. They do have to feed you if they have the budget. Otherwise, they'll dismiss you for lunch for you to go get lunch out there. But yeah, it's just checking in, settling in, waiting. Sometimes you'll move right into fittings, or you'll have fittings before the actual date of the job, and you'll get paid for a day to go in and fit. You'll go into makeup and hair, and then they're going to kind of give you an overview of the scene and what they're looking for. If they haven't already sent it to your inbox, you'll start shooting, and I like to get warmed up. So this first time, the very first take, he yelled action, and I didn't move. So it's totally okay to get settled in and, get warmed up as you go. I always reassure myself that, the day is going to keep getting better and I'm going to keep getting more used to my role there, but there could be a little bit of figuring it out in the beginning. So, yeah, you might change locations. You might have to go back in for touch-ups, especially after your lunch, your break. So, after you have lunch, I feel like the other crew can really kind of sit and enjoy their lunch for longer because once they're back on set, they're good. But as a model, I always like to have a light lunch and hurry up a little bit, go to the bathroom, clean my teeth, make sure I'm good to go to get back up in the makeup chair for touch-up. So, here's a whole list of roles that you could be working with. This set that I worked on, there must have been at least 50 people. So that really helps you because a lot of my friends and family, they have this notion that, like, oh, you're the model, you're the star of the show. And it's like, actually, I'm just another piece of the puzzle. And for me, that kind of took a lot of the pressure off. Now, granted, you're the one who's on camera when they're rolling and they call action, but there's so many other jobs behind the scenes that attribute to the success. So if the hair needs to be done, not your fault. If the makeup needs to be retouched, if the lighting is off, if the wardrobe is off. So you are working in a collaboration, which means don't miss your opportunity to network and be a team player and do what you need to do. Teamwork is essential. Being solution focused. So me offering to cover up that tattoo or get it covered up by makeup, that's being solution focused because I don't want to run into a problem after where they say, "Oh, we've been shooting this scene. We already did that last scene and nobody told us that she had a tattoo." And then they get aggravated with you. So try to think ahead for the solutions, especially after lunch. If you know you're going to need to use the bathroom, try to get it done early than not when they get you back on set. Listening actively so you understand what's going on and adapting. They might change things right in the middle of the direction. They might pivot and go in a different direction. So it's your job to be easily adaptable to that. And establishing a good rapport with the team, jokes, laughs, sweetness, lightheartedness, bids for connection, hey, you got kids? You from here? Where are you from? How long you been doing this? It's really cool to learn about people. This guy, the director, kept calling me love all day, and we were filming a scene where we kept having to cross the road, and he would hook my arm and walk me to the center, and I'd say, "Thank you, kind sir." So, open up and be silly. Remember that this job is play. It's creative. So have fun, right? Especially when you're improvising as an extra and you have to make up little conversation to act like it's an organic conversation happening. Joke around, have fun. This is me being silly on set with a behind the scenes photo. Now, this we're going to go into etiquette, right? So taking advantage of opportunities to learn, connect, and network. If you have time over lunch to ask questions. So I sat with the makeup artists at lunch and the hair artist, and I was learning all about the union. And so I never walk away from a job without learning something. Now, if I were to sit by myself and be on my phone in the corner, I'm doing myself a disservice. So keep your energy open. Eating light and staying hydrated is really important, and that's on you. I've eaten so much catering food because it was so delicious that, I was having trouble digesting it and it was slowing me down throughout the last half of the shoot day. So I always choose to eat light, stay hydrated. They usually have snacks on set too, or you bring your own snacks depending on the budget. of the production and not dilly-dallying. So if you have an outfit change and you go into your dressing room, um, with respect to the garments, we don't want to rip or shred anything, but try to be as quick as possible and show that you're committed to the time, that you respect the time. There's been models who go in their dressing room, they send a few texts and they take their time. I always try to get right back out on set. Again, that's etiquette, that's professionalism, that's being ready to go. Staying focused on the job. So this is kind of the other side of like when you worry that other models are overshadowing you. It's like, well, they're actually, if they're too busy telling a story about the recent vacation they went on, they're kind of distracting people. So that's the other flip side of the coin. So I always take pride in the fact that I listen more than I speak. And that is part of model etiquette and getting some behind the scenes shots. This is super important because you, first of all, you need to ask permission if you can, what you can post and what you can't post. But as soon as you have that BTS content, you now have proof to post on your social media, which I'm going to be teaching a social media workshop for you guys in September. How to brand yourself, how to position yourself on social media. These BTS shots are important because it's evidence that you've been on a set before, that you've worked, that you're shining on set, that you're comfortable, and that's going to position you to get more work in the future. So, modeling is and acting, especially when you're new, you still have tons of things to learn. And in my opinion, I will never stop learning. I will never stop refining my craft, learning from other people. So it's just the process that you have to trust of getting the hang of it and getting comfortable. It can feel a little weird at first. I remember improv felt really weird and uncomfortable, but once you remind yourself to just play and have fun and take the pressure off, you start to shine. You start to be exactly who they're looking for, somebody who can get into the role, be where their feet are. So it's a skill. Give yourself grace as you learn. If you make mistakes, it's okay. If you didn't have your best performance, it's okay. As long as you had all the other stuff, you were prepared, you were engaging, you communicated. You don't always have to be the best, most talented model to get booked again and again. Sometimes they just want to see your commitment. You could be the best model, but maybe you run late, or maybe you have no respect for people on set and you're not engaging at all. So, all of the tips and tricks that I've provided for you are to help you position yourself as a beginner so that it doesn't really matter. And they're cool with you getting the hang of it. And you're cool with the fact that you don't have the experience yet. So, you're going to get feedback. They're going to give you feedback. They're not just going to throw you out to the wolves. They're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. If you need to tweak something or do something a little different, they're going to give you that direction and it's your job to implement it. So, when you are playing these characters too, my pro tip is not to be so focused. So I used to go into modeling jobs in the beginning being so focused on my poses and doing everything right and getting changed quickly and being engaging that I forgot to loosen up and be myself. So it's kind of like there's a nice balance between the two as well. So the end of the day protocol, the best thing too is hugs. They're like so standard, and I encourage you to go in for a hug because creative teams take so much pride and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes leading up to the shoot day. And so it's really good to feel appreciated by the model. And I think that's something that models don't often do. Sometimes they just grab their stuff, and as soon as they hear that it's out, they're done. So if you can stick around, tidy up your dressing room, double confirm that you are dismissed, tell the makeup artist, hey, you did a great job. Tell the production you had a great time, and tell them that they're a great team. You enjoyed meeting them. It's how you leave off on a really positive note. And then, of course, throughout the day, if you got a chance to get some Instagram so that you can keep connected with these people, that's kind of the way in this industry is to just say, "Hey, are you on Instagram?" My line is usually, "I'd love to follow your journey and see what you're up to and what moves you're making." And then there you go. You've got a built-in network on your social media. So, taking note of your start and end time is also kind of important logistically because maybe you went overtime. So definitely keep an eye on that clock. Make sure you don't leave a mess behind you. Clean up after yourself. And so the overall goal of any shoot is just to have great options to choose from. So this kind of ties into the actual skill of modeling and acting is having range and doing different things. So think about if you kept doing the same thing over and over again all day, there might not be different options. They want options. They want to review all the stuff at the end of the shoot and pick the strongest one. That's essentially what our job is to do, is to give variety. So bring different energies, bring different postures, different movements, try different things. Um, and so usually they know when they've got a lot of good material because again, they have that monitor as showing up in real time. It's always really rewarding when you can turn the corner and they say, "Oh, we love this shot." And that's the shot that ends up in the storefront. So that's really cool. So as long as you're getting that feedback that the client's happy, the team is happy, you're happy, when you leave, it's nice to say, "Hey, I'd love to work with you again. I hope we can work together again." And I like to call it a creative buzz when I leave. I'm just so happy because I got to create and work with people who are also creative. My makeup artist does Ralph Lauren in New York City. So it's just really cool to see the careers that people have built for themselves. As far as billing, this is the last thing I'm going to leave you off with. It's never up for discussion, just kind of like in the workplace. Nobody's talking about what they're getting paid. Don't make that mistake. When you wrap for the day, no one's going to cut you a check. In fact, I just had a beginner model message me and she says, "I signed a contract, but it says that we have to wait 30 to 90 days to get paid." And I just feel like that's a scam. And I said, "Well, that's kind of how showbiz is because you do the work and then the accounting departments have to process and bill. And depending on, their pay schedule, then maybe they cut a check and then the check has to get cleared with your agency. Then the agency takes their cut and then they send you out your direct deposit or your check. So it could take 30 to 90 days to get paid, hopefully 30. But I'd say average is like 60 days to get paid. So any receipts that you spent on anything, if they said to bring tattoo cover up and you went out to the store and you bought the tattoo cover up, you need to save those receipts, throw them in a shoebox. So when you do your taxes, when you start making money in this industry, you have some write-offs. If you paid to park in a parking garage, your Uber, your meals, all of that, your strapless undergarments, all of that, your extensions for your hair, all of that. So gigs, don't treat them as just a paycheck. They could really turn into something else. So build that consistency and loyalty to brands by networking. And when you have repeat clients, that is how we get lasting success. And when you have repeat clients, it's really good for you to know your next source of income coming in. So there's been models that have worked for JCPenney for years, for Kohl's for years, assuming your look stays the same and nothing changes. I've met models who have worked for Kohl's for like a decade, and Kohl's will take them back after they've gotten pregnant and had a baby, or they'll shoot them when they're pregnant for maternity clothes. So it's all about building that relationship, being professional, mastering your energy, and getting the hang of it, bringing your best positive self forth. So I know that was a lot of information, but it's so necessary because, again, nobody told me this when I started, and I was closed off. I was nervous. I was stiff on set. I was, feeling overshadowed, quiet, not communicative. So I really hope I'm pretty sure that covers it all, but if you have any specific questions, feel free to use me as a resource. But since I have 10 years in the game, I'm also trying to build a coaching business. So if you guys ever need a strategy call where you want me to look at your portfolio, you want me to clear any confusion, I am offering strategy calls if you think that'd be something that you could benefit from, like a one-on-one. But yeah, I'm here for you guys 4 times a month on this platform. So if you've already been to the workshop and you see it's offered again, feel free to come back as a refresher. If you didn't take notes this time, maybe next time come back and take more notes. And it's always nice to connect with you guys. I am going to be here next Tuesday, the 18th. And that's a workshop on self-tapes and digital. So basically everything you need to submit online, take your tapes, take your digitals, and how to make them look professional. So that's a fun one too. I'm gonna see if we have any questions. What did you mean when on the slide when you said the robe selfie is very important? Usually, sometimes on set, if they have a wardrobe for you, they'll have you chill in a robe. Um, and like I said, maybe you missed it, is that's what's considered a BTS scene or shot. So when you take that and you post it on your social media, clients are always going to want to look at your social media in this day and age. So if you submit something, they're going to look you up on social media and see what you got going on. And the best thing that you can provide them with is evidence that you have worked on a set before. So that's why if you're in the makeup chair or you have chances to take pictures of the behind the scenes, as long as everything is permitted, um, then I would do so. I have a post for tomorrow that I made. It's educational content. So follow me on social media. I'm posting a lot more educational content. And I'm specifically talking about the BTS shots too. So I hope to connect with you guys all in the future. Thank you so much for your participation. And you guys should really just thank yourself for showing up for yourself, investing this last hour in yourself so you guys feel more prepared. It's definitely going to help you out in the long run. And I so look forward to connecting with you all in the future. Best of luck to you all. Good night.